I'm Sam Katz with Gallery Glass, and we're here to visit the studio space of Christian Ruiz Berman. Let's go.
Your motto is never hesitate to trade in your cow for a bag of magic beans. Does this message affect your process?
Um, yeah, I would say that it affects kind of my whole life, and I would say that I'm generally a proponent of living and working in a way that deals with kind of finding the wonder in the world and the things that make you happy and the things that excite you. And I think I, I approach art from kind of I try not to be too serious about it. Like I think it's something that I do for my own pleasure and something that I just really like sharing with other people. I don't think I could be an artist if it wasn't um, for the times that I get to spend with other people talking about the art that I make or looking at their work and just generally having a conversation about things. And it's kind of the great thing about being in Bushwick and in New York in general is I feel like this entire place is sort of one large conversation. So a lot of the art that I make too comes from a lot of different places that I've lived and different things that I've seen in my life and different influences. Um, and it's a very hybridized kind of art form, definitely a mashup. Like I grew up in the age of hip hop and globalization, and a lot of what I do comes from that. This work that you're looking at right now is especially true. That's especially true about this work. It's partly kind of a mix of digital influences and the way the internet is affecting our lives, and the way that looking at art all the time on the internet brings together so many different influences from something like a 13th century religious icon painting, and then tribal artwork and very photorealistic digital artwork or just photographs in general. And it kind of so I try to draw those influences together and also add pieces of my own life. I grew up in Mexico till I was around 7 years old, and my whole family's from there. And grew up looking at a lot of very indigenous art forms and a lot of nature. And I think part of, I don't know, I think the greatest struggle for everybody in this day and age is the loss of the environment and the loss of our roots, kind of, and trading that in for this very technological reality. So a lot of my art ends up being about that. And this one more specifically deals with the story of Eve, and the pomegranate that this girl is eating is stands in for the apple, which the apples actually didn't exist in the Middle East in the days when they wrote the Bible. So the original fruit in that story was a pomegranate, and this painting is kind of meant to convey Eve reclaiming her power and her sexuality and kind of questioning the ways that the Bible stories and the Adam and Eve story kind of have made people think over the years. I find it really fascinating that stories like that can be taken so literally and really affect people's psychology without them even realizing it. So that's kind of where this painting came from specifically. And then the macaw feathers, the feather work here is kind of a throwback to Aztec feather work and Native American feather work. And It's just meant to talk about what we've lost and what we've gained, and how these things can come together in a digital space.
You are a self described poet, designer, photographer, and painter. Which do you associate with most?
I guess at the moment as a painter, because that's what I'm doing pretty much all day and all night. But other than that, definitely as a poet. I mean, I think poetry and painting are kind of the two most basic jumping off points, at least for me, um, when making art. And I think they're such basic ways of reconfiguring the way that you think and whether it's words or paint, it's just very simple elements that we can throw together in different ways to question reality and excite people um, and create things. So I like those two things. I kind of see as the same thing. And then photography is something I do more to just clear my head and look at the world in a different different way.
In a past life, you studied architecture. How does that play into your work currently?
I think, I mean, it definitely gave me an appreciation for making sculptural things and for looking at the whole constructed environment around me as something that can be reshaped and that can be used to inspire. And ended up making a lot of models during grad school too, so it definitely hasn't left me. Like I'm still making molds with plaster and using metal and wood and putting things together that way.
You have a very unique body of work. Can you tell me a little bit about your process?
Um, my process varies a lot. I tend to not be great at doing the same thing a lot, which can be detrimental sometimes because doing series of things usually leads to growth. But I'm finding that I've only been painting for about 3 years in a serious capacity. So I think even though I'm switching mediums a lot, I'm kind of getting to the point where it's all converging and the different techniques are kind of coming together to make one statement. And right now, I really like the contrast of doing like very detailed, careful oil painting with very abstract forms. And I think that's also coming from um, looking at things on the internet a lot and kind of existing in this flattened space of graphic space, and then trying to pair that with real life and real elements and living things. So in a lot of paintings, I'll have birds that are existing in these very digital looking, flat and sort of lost looking spaces. And also thinking about time a lot and whether time is just a linear thing as we experience it, or if it can be more of this in-between space. So the birds you don't really know if they're victims and trapped in this in-between space, or if they're more free there than they are here, where humans are destroying everything. So those are some of the things I think about, and then I try to use materials that other people don't use. I mean, I guess making art, that's just kind of the game for me. Is trying to do things that people haven't seen.
All right. Thank you, Christian Ruiz Berman.
Thank you.
This is Sam Katz with Gallery Glass. Now give us a kiss.